So there's one more type of deformation I want to show you and maybe find a place to use this within our scene. First, let's just go ahead and create us a sphere. So we know that we can edit this object on the sub-object level. If I right-click, I can go to vertex and move these, or I could extrude a face. Right? We could do those things. But these are permanent changes to the model, right? And sometimes you want temporary changes to the model. And so, for example, there may be times when I want, say, this bulge to happen and then to unhappen, right? To be able to animate that part of the mesh bulging. And so this tool is very useful for that. So if we go to Windows, Animation Editor, what we're looking for is the Shape Editor. And the Shape Editor is where we can edit and create what we call blend shapes. Some programs call them morph targets or morph shapes. We are going to call them blend shapes in Maya. And so it's a type of deformer as well. So the first thing you need to do is apply it as a deformer. So we select it and we say create blend shape. You'll also be able to do that under here, right? But we're just going to create blend shape, and now the blend shape is made. But we haven't told it what we would like it to blend into, what other shapes we would like it to blend into. So it can't just turn into anything. I can't have this blend into a rhinoceros or something like that. Right? It has to be something that has the same vertex count as this object. And so the way that we do that is actually just manipulate this object on the spot. So I'm going to add a target. And so with this target, I can name this. We will call this knot. Like, it's got a knot on his head. Right? He got hit. And so with edit turned on and this value turned all the way up to 1, I'm just going to grab a vertex, maybe make that a little bit of a softer soft select. Right? You pull that out, right? And so now it kind of looks like a Gumby like lump on its head, right? And what you'll see is that if I turn this value up and down, I can blend in and out of that, right? Now, as long as edit mode is on, anything I change on this mesh will become part of that knot blend shape target. So whenever I turn it off, now it's kind of permanent, right? It's maybe not permanent, but now that's what we're saying. And we could always still turn it back on and adjust it. So I'm going to go to edge mode, and I'm going to add a new target, and I'm going to double click this edge all around the center, maybe scale down my soft select a little bit again, and then I'm just going to scale that in. Do something like this, R, HRB, make that a little bit bigger, and scale that in even more, right? And so now this can be, I'll call it, I don't know, built. I'm going to say cinch, but I don't know if that makes sense. So this is going to feel like this belt tightening in the middle, right? And then I can add another target, and this target could be even more elaborate. It could be all of these vertices here, scaled up and moved down into something like this, right? So I now have these 3 blend shapes, and you'll notice that they are all additive, right? Those blend shapes I made earlier are adding up. And if I take them all back to 0, it's my original model, right? So the reason this is under the animation editor is because this is also where we can animate them. So I can click this key button on all of these. I will say this first one up at the top here, this is going to turn, like if I have them all turned on, this turns off on and off the entire blend shape deformer, right? And most deformers have that. So I don't necessarily have to have a key on that one. But let's go ahead and turn all of these down, right? And I can animate on my timeline, and you're not seeing it on your timeline. You can if you click there, if you highlight this blend shape, because you can see them here as well, and you can animate them here as well. But I can animate over time these things happening. Maybe over the full 122 frames, I'm having that happen. But in the middle here, while that's happening, I have my belt cinch, maybe uncinch, and then recinch again. Great. And so we're getting this happening. And then maybe right here, suddenly, I have that knot. Go up just a little bit, but then over just a few frames, just pop out, right? And so now, just by animating those blend shapes, I took a simple sphere and essentially sculpted this animation to happen the way I wanted it to, right? Blend shapes are commonly used for things that are where you need to adjust volume on something, right? Because it's a joint, or some of these other deformers don't necessarily add volume, right? So imagine a character's cheeks puffing out when they're holding the breath, right? Or even like fleshy things, like when you bend your arm, your bicep muscle gets bigger. It'll be hard to do that with some of the other rigging methods. So this is how you can do that, to manipulate on the vertex level, on the model level, these objects and animate them. So with that said, let's see if there's a place where we could use that in our shot. So one of them I considered was here, as my ship squashes. It's a great squash, but maybe I would actually like to get a little bit more detailed with this squash, right? Maybe I would like to, let's just try it and see. I'm going to select all of these ship parts, and then I'm going to go to Windows, Animation Editor, Shape Editor. I'm going to create a blend shape. Oh, that's right. I need to have a single. Oh, did I have some things selected that were not? Yeah, maybe I had some things selected that were not part of the ship. No, let's just do it just with the ship itself. Ship body. And I want to create a blend shape. And so with that blend shape, I'm going to add a target. And what I would like to do is select edge here. I'm going to get to its most squished. Right here, right? I'm going to select an edge. Oh, goodness. Let me roll it back to that. Maybe around here. And really scale that up. Let's do B. What was wrong there? B. Let's scale it up. And we're going to, sorry, that was my dog. We're going to go to like here and really just scale up what that looks like there. Not like that. And the same for up here. I'll grab this edge around here and really take that, move it down, and maybe scale it in a little bit. Right? So that's a weird shape, right? Especially when I have it here. But if I turn that off, you'll realize I only really have to turn that on as my ship is squashing down. So maybe I key it from, say, there to here, turn it all the way on, and then as it takes off, I can readjust it, right? What I could also do, I could add an additional blend shape here. I'll go ahead and turn my target off and select this center base and sort of scale it in. I'm not messing up my window there, so that might not work as well. Let's maybe pull back on some of that. right? And I could just do a quick little like keyframe that on there, but keep it keyframed on till there, and then take it back up to there. And of course, I'm going to start it just for, there we go. So let's just see what that looks like now. If I turn edit off on both of those and we just watch this animation, what does that look like from our camera? Well, it did some stuff, right? I'm not sure if that second blend shape is helping us with the door here. Maybe I could see ways we could mess with that. But it's very easy to adjust these. I click on my blend shapes here, and again, I can go to my animation editor, graph editor, and you will see my different blend shapes here. Now, if I had named these a little bit better, which I can still do, Windows, animation editor, shape editor, I'm going to name this one bulge, and this one thin. Right. And so then I can see over here in my graph editor those two, and I can realize my thin one here is probably going too long. Pull that back a little bit to right there. And I also think it started too early. Yeah. And finally, I think it went just a little too far. I think I can scale it back. I don't have to turn it all the way on, right? Kind of same with the bulge one. I think it doesn't have to be all the way on. We'll just have it add a little bit. And so just that by itself is really changing what that shape looks like. I think an area where this might be useful could be stuff like our flame. So let's take our flame. We don't really need it on at all. Actually, best to not have it on at all until probably right about here, I would guess. So I'm going to go ahead and key on the visibility of my flame mesh. And the frame before that, I'll key it off. And so now it just turns on there. And what I think would be kind of neat is like, once it's up in the air, I like this shape, right? Maybe I could stretch it a little bit if I wanted to. But I think as it's powering up here, I wouldn't mind seeing it kind of spread out across the ground. So with that flame selected, it's going to be a little bit harder to do here from this angle. Let's get us in here. From that angle here, I am going to go ahead and bring my shape tool back, minimize this. I'm going to create a new blend shape and a new target. And what I'd like is to almost sculpt, and we'll call this target take off 1. Okay. And I want this to sort of spread this shape out around the ship a little bit here, right? So what I'm going to do is get my vertices, get 4 here just so I can see it, and grab all of these. I still want soft select, but I want a little bit less of it. And then I'm going to scale all of this down flat, move it up, and then scale it outward like this. Now, I'm not 100% sure this will work, but let's see what it does. Maybe it's a little too much. Let's do more like this. Because recognize we still have that ripple on it as well. So I'm sorry. I'm going to get my shape editor back over here. I'm going to uncheck edit. And I'm going to go ahead and set that keyframe on there. And that being sort of its max of where it goes to. So I think I'm going to go ahead and go back a little bit and set my takeoff to there. And then that way, by the time we get to here, we can zoom it back in a little bit. I could make another blend shape here. Yeah, we could. I may here in a minute. And then we are going to have it by here be completely back to normal. Now, if we did want to add another blend shape, here may be a good spot. Add target and maybe stretch this out a little bit more. You thin it down just a little bit. Stop. And key that one on. But maybe go ahead and have it down to 0 there. So key it on, but then back off by here. So let's try that. Let's just see what that's looking like. Again, if I go back to my under cam 2, let me watch it from this angle. 6. Let's just see what this looks like. So jumps on the ship. Yeah, not bad. So we've kind of faked fire, and just playing around with some different things. I can see a little bit of like maybe right here, I could do a blend shape just where that flame is sort of spreading out just for one frame, right? Let's try that really quick just to see if that makes it a little bit better. Shape editor, we'll call this stretch, and then we're going to add one more target, and we're going to say flat end. This is frame 139, right? Let's do 139, so I remember that, right? And I'm just going to key it on completely there, but the frame right before it, I'm going to key it completely off, and then the frame after it, or so. We'll see. Let's see on 139, we can go to edge. Well, actually, let's go ahead and do vertices. Vertex. Now I go in here and just grab these end lights. Turn soft select back on a little bit. Scale those down and up here, right? Just grab that one by itself and just move it up. What we're really wanting is for these slightly less soft select to just be fanning out on the ground like that, just for like a frame or two, right? And I can almost literally just go in here and sculpt what I want this to look like. Probably should have soft select on here. In fact, you can actually use the sculpting tools in Maya on this if we wanted to. I'm not going to go through all that right now. So let's try that, just so it looks like it's hitting the ground, right? So the shot before it, maybe we don't want it to be completely off there. Maybe the ones, let's not worry about it. But by here, I do want it completely off. So let's see what that looks like. There we go. Maybe in the shot before it, I'm not really seeing a good example of that there. So I could do another one if I wanted to, or I could still have takeoff be, in here, something like that. And then on the next frame, takeoff is off. I'm actually going to blend back on that just a little bit, just so it's between that. Maybe under edit mode again, go back to edge and sort of soften that edge on up in there a little bit. See, a little bit more like that. Right? So there's some stuff I can do in here. And then that's just going to go away almost immediately. Right? And so one last time, let's see if this is looking like. Interesting. So I think right now all I have to do is adjust some colors, adjust some details, and we'll be ready to go.